Hey yo, Koku, what
Hey.
up?
Oh, it's just the regs, the huge.
Hey man, it ain't usual. You're not even on my side no more. What happened?
I was looking for things in terms of living conditions and amenities that I knew I could not afford in Brooklyn. And so the only
Quality of life.
solution to that was to defect, leave the town,
Mhm.
and go somewhere that was close enough that I could still be outside.
But the energy is like it's different. I feel like there's some different ethnic energy. There's some different. It's
It is
different.
it is so different out here. Like, I first of all, I am surrounded like the in terms of like ethnicities and things like that. I'm surrounded by Guyanese people. Shout out to the Guyanese.
Word.
It's straight
You're
up
probably
Guyanese.
very confusing for them, by the way.
Yeah, they just so they don't like and I mean everybody's like Guyanese, or there's a lot of Mexicans out here, specifically very Mexican Guyanese.
That's what's up.
I did not know this was a very strong Mexican neighborhood. That's pretty cool because there's some damn good Mexican food.
Oh yeah.
Um, oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I don't know. A lot of Hondurans.
Oh okay.
Yeah, I'm in a sort of like a Central South America, like kind
You
of.
in a very Uber Eats like way
Yeah,
station.
Oasis. Yes. Speaking of Uber Eats, if I wanted to just like wild out and just like order food every day, there's so many more choices here than you could ever
Wow.
imagine. And it's also like I drive too. So
Does that change like where you are with like your Wendy's, like those staples, your Chick-fil-A's? Have you shifted a little more into?
I'm still on that. Like one thing I won't give up is like Taco Bell.
Okay,
But
okay,
but
that's
the
a wild. That's like a wild statement. I'm just gonna say it off top, like
no Taco Bell's breakfast is crazy. Like it's
yeah,
best
yeah.
out. They got an amazing breakfast. But they only serve it till like 11, so that's sad. But I feel like I'm in like a bedroom sleeping community though, to some extent. It seems like a
Okay,
lot of people here that are not necessarily part of the fabric. Like, I mean, I'm a gentrifier, right?
right, right.
Um, so a lot of us that are not
No,
necessarily part
same,
of
same. Like look
the,
around, like you know what I mean, like
it's just
clearly.
it just is what it is. But those of us that are not part of the actual fabric, like in terms of like
Mhm.
family ties or stuff like that, um, it's like a bedroom community in the sense where like most of us we treat this like the suburbs. Like,
Okay.
all my business is really in Brooklyn, and so
Oh,
I could just hop on the LIRR. I'm literally in Brooklyn, like in 7 minutes,
yo,
or
that's wild.
yeah, it's crazy. Or I could just drive because I drive, and
Yeah.
it takes me 15 minutes to get to Brooklyn because I know the side streets too. So it's like I
Yeah, I mean,
nothing,
look, the live
nothing. Yeah,
podcast may happen. The live podcast may
yeah,
happen. It's already
nothing.
like
Yeah, nothing in my life is lost. It's all the same.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yo, I just wanted to get into it because there was something that you told me about that I had no clue about logic, where logic isn't black to people. Like what
Yes.
happened there?
So this is okay. So let me just start this by saying this. Logic is a very, very easy target to a lot of people. He gets attacked by like a lot of
Yeah,
podcasters and
yeah.
bloggers, and there's always a hot take or somebody that just like goes. There's always like every day there's a tweet that goes, "Wait, Logic is black." It's gonna
Right, right,
happen
right.
every single day.
He's the new
And
Bobby Caldwell. Rest in peace.
exactly. But with Logic, it's more like it's different because Bobby Caldwell wasn't black, but
Right,
Logic
right.
is black.
Is black, right?
Yeah. Um, but with Logic, he's very sensitive to the dialogue because I mean he clearly has a black father.
Right.
I was kind of looking into some of his stuff, and his sibling, his brother, he's while light skinned, he's clearly black too. So Logic is just
Mm,
someone that presents more, is just more white presenting. But he's very sensitive to people not, that sort of disregard his blackness.
you
And
said a term there that I feel like I want to help. I want people to know and
mm,
understand. You said white presenting,
yes,
and
like
I want to
or
understand that.
yeah, so white presenting, or basically, if we want to get like kind of more a little bit more like biological and sciencey about it, that's like when somebody says somebody like your phenotypical features, right?
Uh,
Like how you might walk in this neighborhood and people might assume that you're Panamanian. Right. And you're just like, well, I'm Jamaican. Or like when I'm walking in this neighborhood, sometimes people think I'm Guyanese, and it's like,
right.
I'm East African, so it's like, it's just interesting. Like, I mean, I like around here, everybody thinks I'm some kind of West Indian, or it starts to spill into like,
you're very racial roulette for a lot of people.
It confuses me because I don't understand why that would happen to a dark-skinned person. Like that's why, like, this is some real, like, why would that happen? I don't know.
But I mean, you've been in parts of the world now where you see how that happens. Like how,
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like where the textures is more varied than we're used to seeing maybe here in the States. But like
that's true.
Because if in Cuba they on some like yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like the remember Tracy Morgan's character, Cuban Lou? I forget who he played. He on the Uptown Comedy Club at Saturday Night Live. He used to do the character, and it was Tracy Morgan, but he just had his hair was in a flat press. You know what I'm saying? But it was like that's like Cuba is like that. Like Cuba, there's a lot of dudes who look like that. But I feel like this needs a visual, so I'm gonna pull up the visual that you sent me, which is insane.
This is what kicked off, yeah.
Yeah. So just talk a little bit about what's going on here, because why is this the tweet?
Why is this the tweet? So basically, in this tweet, the person says both are ethnically mixed. One is black, one is white. Nothing wrong with it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But then the following tweet is then only one of them can say nigga.
Ooh, wow.
Now, here's my issue with because the reason why we got back here, Logic is back, in the viral cycle, is because he did a cover of I believe it was Ice Cube's "Today Was a Good Day," and he said nigga in the cover. People were like, well, hold on, why that white boy saying nigga? And I'm just like, here we go again, Logic. Like you did it to yourself this time.
Oh no!
You did it. Like I can't, I can't keep trying to defend someone's ability to identify when
his voice is blackfishing.
So I just felt like Logic, like a lot of times when people see you, they think that you're white. So if I were him, I wouldn't even want to even go there. Like I wouldn't even want to have that conversation. I'd be like, oh no, it's cool, because who wants to have why should that be a sentence that you say?
But he wants to go there. That's his thing.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, well, Logic, some people are just very attention seeking, and it's like to the extent that it could be a good attention or bad attention, but they crave that, and I feel like
follow-up question to that. Why are you doing an acoustic "Today Was a Good Day"? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would make people think you were black? Doing some MTV Unplugged.
Yeah.
Why was you doing that, Jay? Like, he was on the mic, he was singing and shit. I was like, yo, why did you?
That's a great point. That's a great point to that. But here's a hot take I hadn't thought about earlier, but I'm gonna go here. Now, let's suppose that we're talking about in terms of like people are saying one is black and one is white, right? In terms of like using Boris Kodjoe's blackness as an example, because Boris Kodjoe walking down the street, you would never know, like you'd never assume he had a white parent. I wouldn't if I didn't know.
No,
him.
You can't.
No,
look at him. Look at him. That's not the white man. Like
I just would never. I would never assume that.
This is a crazy side by side, by the way. Like, it does Logic no favors.
But that's the thing with Logic, and you see that a lot with gossip blogs. Whenever someone is trying to like emphasize their point, they like the person that they're like sort of against, they just get a crazy screenshot of the person. So it's like he was never gonna win that,
Yeah.
But here's something I thought about, and I was like, if you think about it, in terms of like where the argument of blackness is, in how these people are trying to frame it, Boris Kodjoe was not raised in the United States. No, he has a German parent, and I believe a German parent and an African parent.
Oh wow!
So by these people's definition, Logic has more of a black lived experience.
Yeah, he's got a black
Than
affinity.
yes, than
Yeah.
Boris Kojo does. So, and again, that's not me telling either way. I don't want to go there as far as that's just what I'm saying is like the hot take could go there for Boris too. If you guys want to
Yeah,
sort of like yeah.
It's a slippery slope. Well, I mean, I think I'm more squarely in that camp. Or like, what is your lived experience? Because
Yes.
like this cropped up with Meghan Markle for a minute too, where people started to say that she was white passing, and it was like, nah, G, like that's not how that word works, and that's not how that's functioning. Like white presenting, like you were saying, is that like, okay, there are things about you visually that to white folks may be signifying of, oh, she's one of us, or she, not black. It'll look to white folks like not black. Now, Logic is on the other side of that coin, where to black folks, there are things visually that we're like, are you? Because I'm not. And I think one of the things that he does, which is a little coy and a little cute, too cute by half, is this "Today Was a Good Day." Like, you take one of the most classic black culture genre songs and you turn it into like a folk elevator music cover. It was very weird. It was a very weird choice. And then I think it's a kind of troll to react to it too, to be like, oh, like I don't get to do black things, and it's like,
that's what I'm saying. He knows what he's doing too. Yeah,
he's very aware. He's very aware of what he's doing. He's very like internet savvy. He's definitely from that generation. He's cut from that mold. And while I agree with you that we don't get to choose how people identify,
yes,
I think we can discern between people who are a threat to us and people who are not a threat.
No, okay, that's perfectly stated.
So Logic, I completely consider him non-threatening.
I think he's non-threatening. I think that Meghan Markle's late stage, I'm finally seen as colored type of like energy. She's a threat to me.
She's a wild threat. She definitely is going to HR. Like, if something happens between you and her at work, she's definitely going to HR.
She's a threat.
You know what I mean?
I find I find a lot of the dialogue around what's happened in their world, as I've talked about the worlds at length. I just find them I don't think I just find like if you can accept that in your world, then you're no different than it.
Right. Yeah. Like they're like, before those lines got crossed, there was a whole lot of shit that you was just letting slide. And that's why it's suspicious. It's at least sus when those kind of people are like, oh, but wait, I didn't know. Like, it's at least sus. And then it borders on dangerous. Whereas Logic is like, hey, like, can you tell I'm black? Today I am. I'm definitely black right now. And I think he can headline and do types of shows and types of tours because of the subject matter of his music, in which he does claim black. Like, he definitely claims a black experience.
Yes, he does.
He is black. I'm not going to refute that, but I think he understands, because of who he plays to and how he plays his content, that he is not seen as threatening. He is not seen as black. And so I want to give, like, I'm going to stick up for the darker brothers right now. And I want to say that the indignation that we sometimes feel when a white presenting person does that little like peekaboo, like it's like, come on, like, we know what that is. Like, we know when you're playing it for clicks and for visibility and for clout. And he does that a lot. And I would say it's like, it's annoying, but it's not dangerous. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point.
But I do think this like is weird, because now it's kind of hit this who you marry or who you're with.
Yes, and I want to before you go back to that point, there's just one more thing I wanted to say on Logic, in that sense that we have to also, even though we do see him as non-threatening in that sense, he doesn't like, I don't have to think about Logic. Like, people make him, make us think about him. We can't, again, speaking to the dark skin experience. Now, while you can be Logic and say I'm black, that a lot of times what sometimes a person like a Logic might do is not acknowledged that their experience is very, very different than yours and I.
Right.
You know, because they, and you know, so it's like, I get it. I'm not ever going to tell you how to identify, but at the same time, you know that our lives are very different because of how you are perceived.
Yeah, and there's a thing on social media where because everyone has a megaphone, the light skins who are like, no, but my experience is just as alienating. Those they get a really big platform to say
Yeah.
that nonsense. To
Yeah.
like, which is like, yeah, you have alienating parts of your experience, but
Sure.
when it becomes that, like, oh, but it's the same, like that is where it gets kind
Not the
of
same.
crazy, just like real, completely unhinged. And like, yeah, I'm definitely glad he doesn't do that. Like he doesn't do that. He's very like clear to not do that. With Meghan Markle, I don't know. You know, like I'm not sure whether or not she would pull that kind of card, but it seems likely. But yeah, I do think that it's tricky.
With Meghan Markle, to me, like when you see her younger pictures where her actual regular texture hair was out, she didn't look white passing to me.
No,
At
not
all.
even a little.
At all.
Not even a little.
So I just find it curious, you know, that like she just does not wear her natural hair.
Yeah.
At
No,
all.
it's a choice. It's
So
a
I'm just
choice.
like,
Logic come out here curly. Logic like is affected by
yeah,
the humidity. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like he knows. He knows what's
yeah,
going on.
you know. So I mean,
But yeah,
it's just
tell me about these other these other people with white so and so's in their lives.
yeah. So then it started becoming like there was a really bizarre to me hot take where somebody was saying that and I know you have the tweet. Let me see. Where it was basically saying that like I'm sorry, black men who have white spouses are more threatening than white women who have no, what I'm saying, than black women, I'm sorry, that have white spouses.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull up a little something. All right, a black woman marrying a white man is not the same as a black man marrying a white woman. I don't know why this is even a debate. First of all, that I don't know why this is even a debate. It's like,
but like yeah, where does it where do we go where this is the conversation?
we're crazy.
Because it's like I'm starting to think like this brings me back to like, you know, thinking about how people just kind of just totally, and I mean this is totally losing the point. This is just completely, this doesn't even make sense. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. And I know that we all have our faves and we like who we like, but to go so hard moving a goalpost just to make sure that your fave is protected, it's just so silly, you know. And I have no problem with anybody. Like I just think that being concerned about who people date to me is petty and ridiculous. Like I don't care if your spouse is white, black, or whomever. And I, you know, I do think that can affect, you know, obviously that can affect, you know, perhaps your joint lived experience too. But
yes.
yeah. And
can it affect your bag? Can it affect your bag?
That's a good question. Let me say this. I do believe in my case, if I, as a black woman, decided that I wanted to date a white man, it probably would be beneficial.
Yo, I mean, I know for a fact it would be beneficial to me if that like this is like my white woman era hair. Like I'm stepping into my white woman era with this hair. Like, yo, I'm about to be on Basquiat levels. Like they found me on the street. I was sleeping in my car. Because they really do, they love a story like that where you look, like we said, like visually black.
Yeah.
But you are safe. Like you're with us now. So it's okay. We brought you in.
And I don't mind, like you know, like with me, like I'll go to like a dive bar that may be something that's like, you know, frequented by more white people, you know, like it's not as hip or cool in terms of like where I bump into people that I know. and I'm the kind of person that will talk to anybody at length. So I'm just chilling, talking.
You be in the union worker bars,
I go to like the union bars. People doing like construction, plumbers and pipe fitters and
pipe fitters. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. The tradesmen.
Yeah. I love those bars. I will hang anywhere. I've never felt like I didn't. I've never been concerned about where I did or didn't belong in that respect. But what that does is that it kind of seems to signal an interest, I think, where people start to wonder, like, hey, like, what's up with you? And like,
I get around these parts.
Yeah, what you get? Yeah. This old bar. What are you doing around here? But like I actually, on a very frequent basis, have white men trying to talk to me. And when I tell you it's white men, I'm not talking about like the kind of like hipster that's like moved here from across the pond and like moved to Bed-Stuy and like wants to do Brooklyn. We are talking about suited up men and I'm just like I'm cash all the time. Like I'm always in like athleisure or like t-shirts and like joggers. Like I'm very consistent in that sense. Yes. And like a jean jacket, I have like a million jean jackets. And I just don't like I have a uniform of a casual nature.
Right.
So, but it's so funny. Like, I just, it's interesting too. Like, I always joke that the white man holler it's not easy to spot, because sometimes too, you'll make a white friend and then you'll be going out and stuff and hanging out. And like, I've hung out with this guy, like, 30 times. It's cool dude. Like we always go out. Then you'll suddenly realize that you've been dating this person because they, like, I didn't know these were dates. And it's like,
the sneak up boyfriend.
Right. So like, when are we gonna take our relationship to the next level type shit? And it's like, what relationship? Like, you're my happy hour buddy. I didn't know this is a relationship. Like, I totally misread the room. Like, what the F are we talking about? So yeah, I think white people have a very specifically unique and interesting way of hollering that is something that we could actually adopt some of those principles.
What do you mean? Like, what's the holler like?
You just
what's
like
the temperature?
You just slide into somebody's life as a friend, and then you eventually just
not the friend slide.
The friend slide. Then you just eventually say, I just want to know when are we going to take our relationship to the next level? And the person's like,
is that the line? Is that just like a 90-day wait period?
I've heard that. I've definitely heard like, when are we going to take our relationship? Or like, so I was thinking maybe you can come back to my place. I'm like, that way that you just asked me to come back to your place is not the kind of way I'm coming back to your place.
Yo, that is very European. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a negotiation is beginning. You know what I mean? Like we're about to start. Like we're about to come to the table with talks and like pens. Like, all right, like, this is what's being exchanged.
This is why I watch Succession, because I feel like there's some negotiating tools with these crazy people that you can.
Yo, what's Succession? What is that?
Succession.
Oh, Succession. I was like, oh, the session. I was like, oh, I fucking failed.
Succession. That's a wild show. A wild show. A brilliantly written and acted show with the most dysfunctional people that we'll ever like encounter. I won't even say that we'll ever. I think shit happens, but
wait. So tell me, like, if you did right now, Koku TV, the white man holler, like you allowed it in your life. Do you feel like that would be a strategic play? Like you feel like that would positively affect your bag?
Let me just go nuclear, just going in like on some wild shit right now. Basically, the way that I see it, now this is gonna be a wild ass statement. I had to just preface it. When a white man tries to holler at me, it gives me very Bill Maher with the girl on the Fashion Nova, like titties out dress vibes. And I feel like that's what these people are looking for. That's how I always feel like that's what they're looking for. So now, would it be a strategic play? Yes, because that particular person might live in a certain neighborhood or deal in a certain kind of business where I can say like, well, honey, this is what I want. And, I want to start my cookie business. And then, there you go. But yeah, I think that if I wanted to be a certain kind of woman that kind of grifted off of men, I think that white men kind of present themselves as, to me anyways, as the type of people that want to be that.
Yeah, they want to sugar you. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to sugar you. They're trying to secure you in that way. But what happens when when it's the reverse. So there are some social media folks, some content creators, some high level Hollywood content creators who are Black women, and now they're being discovered as having a white spouse, and it's often the opposite, where it's like the plain as day white boy that you would not like. They knew them from some other social circle. They're not in entertainment. Yeah. And like, what do you make of that? Like, because I'm hearing murmurs. I'm hearing murmurs about a fave. Like, she at least is one of my faves.
So she's one of my faves. I love her content. I've loved her since before she was even famous, when she was just like doing her just to do
BuzzFeed
her.
levels.
You know, so like, and even before BuzzFeed, she was just doing like viral, funny ass videos. Like, you know, there are just some people that you see them and you know they have that thing, you know. And I think we're talking about Quinta Brunson, obviously. She is someone that, I mean, immediately once you were introduced to her content, just from the beginning, you knew that that girl was a star. You know, there's just some people just have that thing. You know, we don't all have it, but some people just have it. And, you know, sometimes a lot of us reach for that and decide that we want to be a type of content creator, but it's like those Quinta Brunson types, those kinds of people, or even like the Issa Raes, that don't happen every day.
Yeah.
Anyways, she, like, as you said, she has a white spouse, and social media is sort of judging like, well, like, wow, he looked kind of regular, and, you know, apparently he has a regular job. Well, Quinta Brunson not too long ago had a regular job. Even when she was working in the media space, when she was working with BuzzFeed, to me, that registers as a regular job. You know, you have more visibility, but it's like, it ain't like when you're working on BuzzFeed, Quinta comes to Flatbush, they's not going to recognize her. Now, Quinta can't come to Flatbush now. You know, she probably couldn't, you know, navigate the streets. They're going to try to pounce on her like, oh my God, you're here. But I say all that to say that, like, I think maybe, and this could be the case. If I think maybe with women, we are more open to dating people that maybe if they're not necessarily pursuing the same endeavors, that may not necessarily like maybe like he's the manager of a flower shop. I'm just gonna randomly throw that out there. Right. I think there's a lot of women, people on social media a lot, first of all. So I know there's a lot of people that be like, I never date, I don't date, you know, blah blah, pay grade. You gotta be. They say like, my man can't have no job. He gotta be a hustler. Like, what are you talking about? And that's not even a real pod. We've never seen your face before. What are you talking about?
And their real man is like using their EBT card and getting groceries.
That's exactly right. They just want to come off. It's like they're trying to, like, you know, as they say, the folks say, they're trying to manifest, you know, the reality that they're looking for. When in reality, again, just using the manager of a flower shop example, that doesn't mean that this man got an LLC. This person is very contented and, you know, pruning, like, you know, plants, and, you know, there's something that he's very happy about doing. You know, why wouldn't you find joy with somebody that you know is happy at their station in life? And I think that's why people they're like, you know, well, if I was Quinta, I'd be dating, you know, I would try to take, you know, an NFL player from his wife or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's what you would do. That's what you would do.
And also, like, okay, we got to talk about, like, the same thing. Like, Quinta goes up for us. Like, in her life, in her art, she represents us. So it's like, it's not like Jonathan Majors is a different type of person who is with a white spouse. Like, he's a different type of person with a white spouse. Like, that's a different kind of play. And I think that tweet is kind of like alluding to more the comparison between Quinta and a Jonathan Majors than like what actually happens. Like, in those two individual cases, there is a huge difference in how and why those choices are made. Does that make sense?
And yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. But before we even get to Jonathan Majors and that type of comparison, I would also like to use, you know, an earlier comparison that we could use that's a little bit more balanced would be Donald Glover, because he has a white spouse. Yes, and I believe that Donald Glover also does a lot of writing and connecting with the Black community. And people have a problem with him having a white wife. And I'm just like, this man has given you guys so much. Yeah. And this is where we're at. Like, Swarm is like, you know, that's top 5. You know, that's one of my faves. And ATL, of course. And this man works with so many Black writers, Black women. producers and so forth. It's just like, why are we hating on people? Like, what is the hate about? Or is that again? Is that a projection of an insecurity that people are like, well, I deserve that. That should have happened
Mhm.
for me. That's usually where I go when people get hate when they didn't, that they didn't invite.
So it's like that version of what's that illustrator, the meme where it's like the nerdy black guy and
Yes,
he's it's like their version of that where they're like living out the nerdy black guy, kind of making it, and they're like, well, I'm not the one who rejected him, and you
yes.
are, like, you literally are that
Yeah,
person.
you literally are that person. We've all got our own, trauma to whatever extent, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, or our experiences. And I totally think so. When, someone like a Donald Glover talks about how he was raised, and especially when you look at it in terms of his character, even on ATL, that's like the kind of regular guy in ATL that doesn't
Yeah.
get the hottest chick, the bottle
Right.
model or the whatever. Like, that's not the kind
Right.
of girl that goes for him. But now Donald Glover, if he were to abandon his family, he could date anybody. He
And
could
we
date
also don't
anybody.
know what's happening in his private life.
We,
Like, he may be doing all kinds of things.
we
Like, we're
don't know.
like, nah.
Let me tell you something. I don't put anything past anybody. I think everybody has options. And, polyamory aside, I think that a lot of people they make decisions based on their options. I think most people would.
Mm.
I'm going to go with a real hard most. Some people
Yeah.
some people are faithful because they have no choice.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
bar. I hate it, but it's a
Yeah.
bar. It's a bar.
And when I say that, because I go hard for people, and I'm not. This is not any kind of like body shame or anything like that, or looks or anything like that. Because again, like, to me, the spectrum of calling people ugly, like, that's just so. I don't know. I don't get down with calling people ugly. I think that's whack. Because we all, I always say that we're all, if you think about this is the example I always use. If you just think about your day, right? Your yesterday, and all the errands you ran across the city, everywhere that you went. Maybe you went to a couple boroughs, maybe you went to a couple restaurants, maybe you went to visit a couple friends. You're not gonna necessarily remember even 90% of those faces that you saw.
Nope.
Because and that the only thing that would register as just something that would be so anybody, I guess, that registers unattractive in most cases, it's just more so something that they needed to do to sort of like judge themselves up. Like, maybe they need to comb their hair, or just like kind of just clean themselves up, things like that. But ugly is not. I don't like that.
But I do think that when you get into a certain power position, get to a certain status,
Yeah.
especially as a black man, like, because like I do think that the black women who I've seen with white spouses and who are in power positions, they're like some decent guys, like, at least who people might consider attractive, but nothing that's like, whoa, like, whereas black men, athletes have had trophy wives, like, for generations, right? For decades. So there are differences. Like, I understand maybe like the spirit of the tweet, like rather than like the letter of it, because the letter of it is like, and like, you could debate your mama, like, and I was just like, no, like, this is not so absolute and like transparent as you make it.
And it's also like nobody was saying that. You came in here with like a rawr, and it's like, okay, you like, well, what are you responding to? You just came up with this. Because I didn't hear nobody say that.
Yo, the very straw man. I mean, but I do find it interesting though, because like, I still do operate on that like, who's a threat matrix. And Donald Glover, I love his art. I'm not even gonna front. I love his art. But I do have a stronger critique of him now. Like, now that he's, I won't say playing in our face, but he relies on our loyalty. He relies on our viewership. Like, he's kind of on the opposite side of the Tyler Perry coin, right? Like, he's doing that kind of abstract, highbrow, whatever you want to call it, like complex art. And Tyler Perry's doing another thing, but they both very much rely on us watching.
Yes.
And I would say that, like, if I had to guess it, like, he wouldn't feel comfortable in a room with like every type of nigga. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Donald Glover, like, would not necessarily, like, he might be a little off to himself, which is fine. Like, that's part of a black experience too. You know what I mean? But like, there's definitely a Donald Glover who's like, yeah, like I'm not trying to be here that long because like.
Well, okay. Let me say this. I feel like a lot of us in the Twitter sphere who do comment on whether whatever he's project that he's rolling out, and like when we're doing like the episodic hashtags, things like that. Those are the same people. Like a lot of these people with these hot takes, they would not be. They don't be in these rooms with these niggas.
They don't be outside, Koku.
Y'all don't be outside. Y'all ain't never. Y'all ain't hopped off the porch. Y'all ain't never been in that one project building. You don't know nobody. Nobody
want to police blackness, though. They want to police blackness. Like the debate I had about Swarm. I'm telling you, I had such a heated debate about Swarm with someone who's literally white passing. Like this person was coming for Donald Glover's neck and was like, he doesn't, and the way he talks about black women and the way he portrays black women, coming at his neck. And I was like, you look like a white woman in the street. Like those things are valid. Like those, like when it's messy like that, we have to mention it. So like we can mention the fact that like, word, he may have blind spots. Word, he may have like a lived experience that's different from a lot of other black people. But like, he's still dropping bangers too. Like those things can, like both things can be true of it all is really hard to convey on social media. But he's, I think, a prime example of like, damn, like we uncomfortably like a lot of our cousins. Like that's how our whole community and sphere work. We uncomfortably like or embrace a lot of our cousins who, yo, he was the weird nigga growing up. I was the weird nigga in my family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They always, like me growing up, like I knew a lot of people in the street, but they wouldn't let me be in the street per se. They'd be like, no, she's smart. Leave her alone. Like, she can just let her do her weird stuff. I was weird. I was always into like techie stuff and like music and things like that, but they never let me get into no nonsense.
Right.
So yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm like just short of an anime nigga. You know what I mean? Like I have nothing against anime. I'm just short of that.
I know anime like hood dudes. I could name names that you would know. Hood, that are like deep into like anime and like comic books and things like that. I know people like that.
My weirdest rabbit hole is backpack rap. That's like my weirdest nerd thing.
Yeah. I used to be like a hardcore Jan Sporty, and then I started getting a little bit more like open. Like I was just to the point where like I wasn't even trying to listen to anything commercial. Remember back in the day, you'd be like, "Yo, backpack commercial, like nah, son. Why so and so collaborating with so and so?" Dumb arguments like that.
Oh,
now I'm like, who cares? I don't care as long as it sounds good. And then it's also like now, I mean, I'll even listen to stuff where it's like just technically it's not good rap. I mean, I don't want to name names in that sense either, but like if the people are not good rappers, they're not good rappers, or they may not even necessarily be good singers, but I like it. Like it's just sonically, it's still fun or interesting enough. So that's how far I've gone from being the Jan Sport killer to like now I'm out here like, no
more lyrical miracles for you.
No, super lyrical miracles. Like to me, like you know what killed super lyrical miracles for me was battle rap.
Oh yeah.
That's what killed it for me because a lot of times battle rappers cannot construct a true song.
No.
So it's like I don't mind it in the space of battle. I've been to battles, you know what I mean? So I don't mind it in the space of being at a battle. Like, sometimes I get on my grimy, like, now I'm in my fitted. I'm out here with the Timbs and I'm at the battle, But sometimes I be on that energy.
Wait, why are you at the battle?
I don't know.
What's going on at the battle that you like? I need to be here.
I go like, you know what? My type of entertainment is anywhere I can go where I won't necessarily bump into a lot of people I know. I'm more on that type of time because if I like, let's say for instance, I was just like, you know what? I got a hankering for Bed-Stuy Applebee's right now. I will literally know everybody there. Like sometimes you just don't want to know everybody there.
Right.
So we're not even talking about mixy stuff. We're talking about like me walking down Fulton Street the other day and like literally getting stopped by 15 people.
Wow.
And my 15 people is not, again, it's not the Twitter 15 people that we're talking about.
No, it's not.
it's the true Bed-Stuy 15 people. You all will really be like, why do you know this person? So, anyways, yeah, I like a little bit less familiarity, and I like to like discover new things. So that's why I like, some days I'll just go to like Corona and just like, I found this Mexican day club once. Yeah.
What is a day club? Like,
It's a day club, DAY, D as in daddy.
Okay.
And so I just seen Spanish on the door, and they had like, they had the lights on, the neon lights, and I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna get some good food, because again, Mexican food is like my favorite. So I will go to the Mexican neighborhood so I can eat Mexican food. So shout out to Sunset Park. So anywho, I walk in and I'm talking about, and I had never seen this before. So that's why it's always good to go to people's neighborhoods, because you never know what kind of energy they're on. I was like, I cannot leave this place. And this was in Queens. I walk in, people are like on whining and stuff, and it was a party. Like I'm talking about, it was a club. It was lit, and it was like 2 PM. And I was like, they are not serving food in here. So they are not serving food in here. Somebody gonna eat, but they ain't serving food up in here, So I was like, wow. So I'm looking around like wide-eyed, like this is wild. Like this is the stuff of really understanding like cultures and being a part of things that you don't necessarily understand, that you would never see.
You're the mayor of many hoods, yo.
And the thing is, like, it's so funny because like hood day parties, like, hood day, I hate them, because I didn't go to this particular spot to have a midnight experience. And it's like, I need to see my food. So, and I don't need nobody twerking next to me while I'm eating my food. And it's like, why are the lights down? Like, I got to get my iPhone light out to eat. This is crazy.
No trap brunch for you. Yo.
No, I don't do, no. That type of stuff. No. You will never, you won't see me there. No. I only go places that I'm invited or that I don't know nobody.
Right. Oh my God. I'm cracking up that like we're talking about basically places that are inappropriate for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, but it's good. It's important to know. Like, it's important to know like where you fit and like where you're willing to go fit, and where like, okay, this is not my people. Like, this is
So for instance, like let's just say that, like, a lot of times what I'll do, like, I've been known to, like, if I go to Fifth Avenue and do like a bar crawl, it'll be like me, a Mexican dude, a Venezuelan dude, random black dude, the Jamaican. Like we just hit the streets, and we just like we're the new gang with a new coterie, So like that's how I move. I don't.
You sound like an old vaudeville joke. A Tanzanian, a Mexican, and a Jew walk into a bar.
Will totally happen.
That's hilarious.
That's totally not. I love to like hang out with people like on some like real fun times. Like let's have fun. Like we just have a great blast that day. And maybe I'll see you guys again, maybe not. But like a lot of times that's how I end up becoming really good friends with people organically, because it's like we just randomly become friends. But it's like they have nothing to do with any kind of like, Twitter famous or like industry people or like, this kind of a type of, there's a sort of a black intellectual sphere where it's like they're a little bit cliquey or they're not very inviting. And again, they're the ones that police who gets to be a certain kind of black.
That's
but
what I fucks with about you, yo. Like
they don't.
You're not trying to be in like a little faction. Like everybody's trying to be in a little faction nowadays. And like everything is like designed to get us like very much in our little divisive factions.
But how does that, I mean, like, and how, the thing I don't understand with people that feel like they need to do that, it is like, how does that serve you?
Yo, that's a great question. I don't think people ask themselves that question enough, but also don't think people like plan to go a block away from where they lived. You know what I mean? Like, I think most people, like in any class station, any environment, most people just don't go very far from where they originated.
That's true. And you're talking about like in terms of like even like where a person grew up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, no, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so like the factions serve to like make people feel better about where they're from and where they're stationed. And that's why like everything is designed to get us in these factions. Cause like I was watching, I have been following the women's Final Four, and the championship game was yesterday. And it was crazy that such a great national event turned into that, like just like the factions. Now we're just splitting up again over this shit, and it was like instant too. It was wild instant. Because I
was
got
actually
into the white girl. I was into what she was doing for a second.
Yeah, I was actually one thing I will say, like the positive of everything that came out of this was that I was so pleased to see so many people, like even like at the bars and things like that, people watching women's basketball. I thought that was so good, and I thought that was great. Yeah, I thought that was great for the game, and I have personally, and I'm not gonna pretend like I watch college ball like that. But I've personally, like, I'll watch it if it's on, if I just happen to be, out.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anything like that.
No,
like, I'm
like it was well more popular than the men's game this week.
Yes,
like,
yes.
well more.
Yep.
In the same way that like Serena and Venus just made it bigger than the men's game in tennis.
Yeah, yeah. So are they both going? They're both they're not eligible yet, right?
No, they're not eligible yet. I think you have to be a graduating senior to be drafted in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark from Iowa State is a junior, about to be a senior, and Angel Reese from LSU is a sophomore.
Okay, I did not know that. I didn't know what year.
So I mean, I like how it played out because, like, I mean, I'm a fan of hoops, and women's hoops have been. Like, I wouldn't say like in a rut. It's just that women's hoops have been dominated by like a very select few. Yeah. And so to see the talent spread out, where like a random white girl from Iowa State could be all of a sudden the nation's biggest star, like that was really great to see. Because at first it was just like, yo, it's UConn or it's Tennessee, and that was it for a while, for like my whole childhood basically. And then some other programs like LSU and then South Carolina with Dawn Staley. But the same thing happened in those sports as happened in like baseball when it was segregated. Like as soon as more talent happened to be Black and like come into the sport, it was like it's this association with the style of play that Black players bring. And then a very like lionizing and like making into an angel the white style of play. Like, because that was happening. Even though Caitlin Clark is nice, like she has she's great. She's a great player, but it's definitely a like, oh, there's a purity that gets attached to how she plays versus Dawn Staley's South Carolina team is like, oh, they play rough, or they don't play intellectually, or they try to like out physical you and shit like that. But all the connotations are like, they play like niggas. Like that's what
they want to say. Yeah.
But
the funny thing is, like, when we talk about the shit talking, right? Of Caitlin, also, like, she's known for that too. Like, basically they're comparing her to like Larry Bird. Like she's just on that court. She's like, getting in people's heads.
And it's also why she's good.
Exactly, because she could, she knows she could do that. Like I saw her like wave off, like that was actually pretty hilarious. Like if I knew how to, play basketball, that I would love to be able to do that. But I'm a waste of height in that respect. But I've been telling you, I just want to be an efficient passer. That's all. I feel like I just want to be someone that can help.
Listen, we got to get out there because it's like I spot up. I run off screens. I catch and shoot. So like I'll make you look like a good passer. Just you get out there. That's all I want to do. Yeah, moving your feet. That's all it really takes. You get out there. You give people the ball. Like it's like life. Like give people opportunities. You give them enough, they'll come out on top.
But we always, I think we've talked about it, like using sports as a metaphor of life, and like, the importance of team sports, and like what kind of player that you are, which is why I always say, like, think about the kind of player that, Magic Johnson was, like a person that's just willing to pass like that and like make you great, or even like I'm going far back, like a Dennis Rodman, that's just willing to be this all defense,
And I know you're not a fan, but LeBron James, right? Like, I know you have all the smoke, but makes players better. It's not easy. It's not easy to make Kyrie Irving a champion.
Whoa, that is not easy.
Listen, your boy didn't do it.
Boy is hey
your
now.
Boy didn't do it. Rice
but you know what? But you know what he did? He did the kind and wonderful thing and went over there to CP3 and said, "You know what? I'm gonna work on making you one." That was.
You know what he said? He said, "I'm gonna take the pressure off you if it doesn't happen." Like, like that's real. That was the biggest gift he gave CP3. That like it's gonna be about me if we lose, and that will be a terrific thing for you, and you could kind of like just go out to pasture. But yo, I mean, he's balling. Your boo is balling. He's back to form. I expect him to be a formidable opponent and potentially in the championship round. So that's neither here nor there. I think that like you're right. In this instance, what we saw about sports is that competitive purity is lost on most people who are trying to project their like racial and social beliefs onto things. Because like there was a really competitively pure thing happening, and it was like word, like the fierce competitor who talked trash. Like sometimes you can back it up, you can cash those checks, and sometimes somebody else does. Like, and that's really what it is.
My thing is like everybody's painting Caitlyn out to be like she's Taylor Swift or something.
Yeah,
for all we know, Caitlin's like, damn, like of course, you know, she definitely cried in the car because you know they want this bad, but she ain't losing no sleep over like some court like banter and like you know somebody trying to break you. That's not what this is about. You know, so it's like people are making it seem like she's this fragile snowflake and like, oh my gosh, and like she's just gonna get on get on these platforms. What I would like, and this is a little stretch, but and she doesn't have to do this. I would like if Caitlyn just kind of said, guys, if you actually played a sport before or done anything competitive, this is just kind of what we do. Like, because I'm sure she's going to get a platform to have her say as far as, because of how good she is. And I would like her to at least give Angel that, because if you look at the dialogue around like Angel, it's like, it's super crazy.
Yeah, it's gotten wild. Wild. And I mean, I think I'm going to tag her a little bit, Caitlin Clark, as a typical white woman, because, and I say typical here, I don't want to use a negative word. I'm going to say typical, because a typical white woman is not going to stand up for a black woman unless she absolutely has to. And especially not for a black woman who just lost and talked trash in her face. Like, yo, you asked, bro. Like, I fucking beat you and you're trash and that's it. Like, she's not going to do that because she's typical in that sense. Like, she has an ego. She has pride. So she's not going to step forward and be like, oh, things got wild for you. Yeah, I didn't really much mind it on the court. I'm sure having lost and being a great competitor, she's probably feeling sore and it's like, yeah, you got what's coming to you. So yeah, let people drag you and rake you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's her.
But I do think that like Kim Mulkey is a really interesting figure in terms of being the Southern white, almost evangelical looking coach of this very like black girls who go to the nail salon, who put in the hair pieces. Like she's not afraid of that.
Of that. No.
But she even said it too.
There's also something about when you're in certain Southern environments where, believe it or not, as much as we are talking about this, like this divisiveness and this infighting that's going on online, there are certain environments where it's like the black and white folks really understand each other. Like it's different. Yeah. Like, so it's like, and especially in a place like New Orleans or Louisiana, I should say, the greater Louisiana, there are experiences that don't necessarily fit into exactly how we would expect the interactions to be. Like if everybody's kind of on the same accord.
Yes, that's very true.
Especially with sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Sports will bring people together,
Yeah, only like in those environments, like you could tell Kim Mulkey went to church with some of those girls. You know what I mean? Like they share certain social experiences that like bond them more as maybe outsiders. Like she wears the flashy coats and shit. Like she was sequined out and like, her
that was some real Louisiana stuff to me.
Exactly, right? And she and like she coached Brittany Griner, right? Like so that was a little bit of her controversy or like problematicness is people felt like she should have spoken up more for Brittany Griner. And there was also a report about 10 years ago that a profile that was done on Brittany Griner where people felt like Kim Mulkey should have been a little bit more supportive of the LGBTQ identifying part of Brittany Griner's life. And she was basically like, that's just not my area. Like, and she's one of those old school white people that's just like, yo,
like, I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, like that's your thing, whatever you do. And I think that's actually fine. But I think the way that she was sort of construed in that time period was like, oh, like, is she down? And I think bringing a team like that to the promised land, like that LSU team, where it's like, yo, like you had a transfer student who was kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
You had another transfer who was kind of seen as like whatever, arrogant, conceited, whatever people were saying about Angel Reese. So I think to take those kinds of players who are usually frowned upon, and there's a lot of reasons why they're frowned upon in the larger society, and be like, nah, I'm riding with y'all. Like that is a different, you're cut from a different cloth to be able to do that. And it's one of those little like not so neat parts of America where you're right, people be getting along in ways that you didn't expect.
You didn't expect, yeah. I will say this too. This is probably not a very nice thing to say, but I'm sure it's pretty loud, and I think we're all at least thinking about it in some way. But at least with Angel Reese, what we have here is someone, a champion that like kind of showed up, and like talk that talk and like walk that walk, and like really the confidence is not necessarily arrogance, right? Like she did that, but I feel like with Sha'Carri, she was someone who. Now, this is dicey. I think that where they were both compared is more so in like aesthetics. They were just
of course,
like
of course. And a little bit of the Twitter personality.
That kind of they came up in this era where they literally have grown up in an active social media where it's like while they were probably even hooping and while they or running or whatever in that particular case, but while they were in their respective sports and dominating in their respective sports. They was on some Twitter, social media bullshit. They care what somebody said about them on a TikTok video, like just things that like are so. I mean, for me, like even like as an adult, I don't even understand like the atmosphere we're in right now, where there's like all these YouTube wars. Like that's beneath me. I would never hop on YouTube and like war with somebody with a platform. Like why would I do that? And like I don't. It's like, and my thing is like. And I say this about the internet all the time too. It's like, I don't know you. If I don't know you, like I've never seen you before, then you don't like nothing. Like we've never broke bread, nothing. I don't know you. You're no more than an internet entity to me. Like you're just like, it's just a person, behind the screen. And I know that's very, very hard for people to take, especially when they're much younger. But I just think about the mind of these people that are like so elite and so great in that respect, but then they got time for the bullshit. Like that's almost more interesting to me than the people that are just sitting at home, like wondering about why is my life like this. But then they get on Twitter and just have like these ridiculous hot takes and like create personas. So whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like one Devin Current, shall we say? I think it is unique to their generation.
Yes.
Definitely unique to them, but I do feel what you're saying about like it's a little mixy. I'm not necessarily as much on the pylon train in favor of Reese, and not because I don't think some of what she did was funny and great and competitive. Like I think all of those things are true, but I'm also just like, all right, it's cute till it's not. Like all the like clapback tweets. Like it's cute till it's not, and then someone goes over the line and someone's being called a cockroach, or the tweet from 2012 comes out and like it's something problematic. Like and that's where it gets very tricky.
And people love to do an old tweet thing. People have been canceled.
I'm like, what part of the cycle are we in? Before, like, what's the over under on her old tweet surfacing?
Man, I'm quite sure now. With as many people have gotten canceled at this particular point in time, I am quite sure that she's probably worked with a team that has been able to scrub whatever it is that she may have said. That maybe
I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure.
Yeah, because I'm like, I look at some of those clapbacks. I'm like, why are you even like who? You don't even know there's tens of thousands, in some cases millions of people, or hundreds of thousands and millions, that are following these people. And it's like, why do you feel like that direct, I guess, threat or comment or negative statement or whatever?
There's a brand of competitiveness that I'm trying to understand better, even though I don't have it in me. And that brand of competitiveness is one that finds and channels motivation in every negative thing that could ever be thought or considered about you. Like, and some people go into that in an obsessive way, and it's unhealthy, and And you know, a lot of top athletes have that brand of competitiveness where it's like anybody who ever doubted anything about me is fuel, is motivation, is part of how I do this really rare thing that takes a lot of resilience and repetition.
Okay, I will say that I have that. I have that in a motivated, like I am motivated by hate, not by social media hate though. But if you underestimate me, like if I say I'm gonna do something and you underestimate me, I'll be like, say less. Like, I'm not even going to respond to it, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the difference. My thing is more so I'm not going to acknowledge you, and I'm not going to make a whole thing. I'm not going to respond to it. But I'm going to get to where I need to get to, and you're going to know about me. You're going to see about me. So I get that part. I just don't get the, the sort of like the wading in the muck. Like, I don't get that part.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a waste of great energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and time. But I think when people are really good in their routines and really at the top level, like, unfortunately, they don't then become like readers or like yoga meditation people. They go on social media. Like their routines, their athletic routines are very set. They're very good. They continue to excel in that realm. And then in their downtime, they're just regular.
Now you've just sort of tapped into something I wasn't thinking about. You're right. I think that there's a level because I have known people that are at a level of celebrity where they are not. I don't want to I don't want to be as negative to say some people are incurious, but like they don't know the world anymore. So this is all that they can know because everything gets fed to them. So it's like. So then at that point, like if you don't know anything, like you can't walk through, a certain type of environment and you just don't really know the world in the same sense, then social media might fuel you. Like it may be your, because that's what everybody else is doing. But at the same time, it's like, well, when I log off, like, I'm working at the pizza shop. So it's like I have a different kind of world than you and I get to interact with people in a very different way. And I'm not getting like nobody's asking me for an autograph. You know what I mean? So it's like it's different. So it's almost like a lack of socialization. You could almost compare it to what people experienced in the isolation of the pandemic, right? Like at peak isolation where we just could not go out. Almost like that, except that they could go to hop to jet set to like the Maldives and like have a great time, But
exactly. Right.
Yeah. So it's not that, or like, listen, come to my compound, on my island and that kind of thing. So they have a very different type of life, but it's still like, are those people, aren't they the same kind of people in that sense? Like, I don't know how fun that would be to someone that just wants to to interact with normal people. So I think a lot of celebrities, they just want to interact with normal people, maybe, but just from a distance. So maybe that's why social media seems so attractive.
Yeah, they do. And then was there a time where you could just create a burner and be Suns fan 97825 and actually be among the peasants and shit? Like there was never really a time like that. You know what I mean? You can't walk around and be that person. So why not go and like wade in the muck? Because you can. I guess that's their real reason. Is like
because a person of that actual physical stature, it's not like you're gonna be Michael Jackson and can put on a fake nose, and then like a hat and lock down. You literally like I mean. When you're like 7 foot,
the Mark's mustache,
all that, just like I'm not acting like you just you can't put Devin Durant, you cannot put him in a Liberty tax suit. We're still gonna know that you're still gonna know who he is.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's everyday famous. He's everyday famous.
He's everyday famous. Now he is. Before I never really thought that he was. I just felt like it was like really basketball enthusiasts. But now I think that we've definitely gotten to a point where it's like Kevin Durant can't go to, I don't know, like he couldn't pull up to anybody's McDonald's drive-thru, I don't think, without being like, is that true? No. Yeah, no. Even just sitting down, like people know it's
right, exactly. This is a wonderful return to unhinged conversations that no one asked for and no one knows where they come from.
No. I wanted to get into something really quick though, and so this is me just throwing it back to the earlier subject, to what you think from a damage control perspective can happen in the Jonathan Major situation. Because remember, his lawyer put out these supposed texts from his girlfriend, and again, now remember
and they've gone dark since.
They've gone complete. But And it's been kind of curiously, almost like the PR is impressive in that sense because a lot of things are just like not getting discussed in the same way. Like anybody else would not have a career after this. I'm not
I don't
entirely
think he
sure.
will. I don't think he will.
Oh,
I
you think
think
this is done? Ah,
yeah, no, I'm going. I'm very bullish with that take,
okay.
and I think it's because his run got him there on a lot of goodwill,
Yeah.
and I think disproportionate goodwill to performance. And that's not even saying he's had bad
Ah,
performances. He's had
right.
great performances. Lovecraft, Last Black
Yeah.
Man in San Francisco, Creed. He has,
Mhm.
but a great run does not a career make, right? Like
Okay. Okay.
you got to really put the work in, and when it feels like hype, when it feels like
Yeah.
this is an outsized effect, that one may be a lot of PR, as in good PR. He's a great
Yeah.
interview. He's obviously bulked up a lot, so there's a visual element.
Yeah.
And when those same parts of the machine aren't working in your favor, it can look like in the span of a year, oh, what happened to this dude? Because
Yeah.
there's a time when everything associated with him was going to go viral, was going to be a good clip, was going to be a good visual. And now that's not the case. So I think once that halo effect shrinks, we'll see where he is in terms of star power. But I think to be solidly an A-lister like he was becoming, you have to put out lots of work over time, and you have to have lots of proof of concept to the box office audience.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the same. He's not going to get the same looks in the next 6 to 8 months that he did leading up to this.
So let me ask you. Let me just give you a scathing hot question. Do you believe that much of this, in terms of that, comes from the fact that his girlfriend is a white woman?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you why. There's an anecdote from this weekend. I was at a dinner party, right? So like not even a dinner party, like a brunch time bougie day party with a mixed racial population, right? So it was like a black woman hosting. She has mostly white friends. I came through with my girlfriend who's black. So we was the only really black people there. But anyway, Jonathan Majors came up. And somebody who works at a major media news outlet who was a white dude, and he seemed cool. We were like just shooting the shit about other things. And then the Jonathan Majors thing came up, and he was like, well, you know, from what I understand it, like the big buzz and controversy before this was that he had a white partner. And I guess people were up in arms about that. And that was very intriguing to me, that this white dude who
would even tune into that. Yeah.
Right. And he was tuned into that. But I think for me, that was a signal flare, because I was like, even white people are seeing something like, oh, he's not what he says he is. Like whatever happened, he's not what he says he is. And that has them upset. So I'm going to look out for what's going on there.
Yeah. And then
that's why I was concerned.
Then all the theater kids, they just came out from, I don't know where the heck they came from. And they are like, he's been like this. We dealt with this back then. With his previous, it's like, it was like, yikes. And there were people that were coming in to co-sign it. I mean, you know, listen, I believe victims, and for someone to call the cops on the person that's bankrolling the apartment, you know, that paid for the drinks that y'all just came back from. Something happened.
It's giving OJ Simpson. It's giving grainy 911 calls.
You know what it is, and let me say this. Oh, yes, let me say this. This is where I'm going with this, and this is because of your point. This is actually a very interesting thing. The branding of Jonathan Majors is so specifically to cater to black women.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why. Whereas some of these other people, it's immaterial. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, Quinta could date a white man in a movie or could date a black man. Like those things, it's just immaterial. And I would even say the same thing for Donald Glover. I don't think that those things were very like central to who they were being branded as or who they are. So with Jonathan Majors, like this thing, it's like it's so explosive and so weird and just so it's like you were never who you said you were. Whereas these people, we're not saying that they're not who they said they were. Like, we're not saying you may not like who they're dating because you have like whatever your hangups are, or you're a bigot or something. If we're gonna go there, but with Jonathan Majors, it's like you're not who we thought you were at all. This is actually,
real Trojan horse energy. Real like spook who sat by the door.
Yes.
Like, you got in and you was a whole other thing, especially when it came to whiteness. You were like, oh no, I love Black women. I want to talk about Black masculinity. I want to revise what we think about Black men in film. Those are very strong sentiments and sort of campaign points to come out with and be choking white women behind the scenes. That's crazy. That's like a crazy contrast.
That's a crazy, like, that whole news article that would have to be written that has to talk about all of those things. It's like, wait, what? Like, where do we go from here? And also, you know, there's a lot of, you know, and this is going back to what you're saying, where you can kind of be, I guess how you're positioning, like you could be the it guy of the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, you know, we're not talking about a career that's lasted necessarily that long. It's almost like with music right now. We've got people that are like actually like multimillionaires that have gone viral like during like the pandemic, and they're like famous right now. And much can be said in terms of the body of his work that's been so impactful in this moment. Like you said, it's been in a very small window in that sense. That's not to take away from the actual acting and all that work, but it's like,
you ain't Teflon, bro.
You're
not beating them allegations. Like this is lifelong, G. Like,
and look, and I don't want to like call him out like, you think so and so can beat the allegations, but it would go very differently. But my thing was also like, you're not beating them, but for somebody to call the police on the bag, I gotta take things to a real base level. Yeah. Then when she retracted the statements or whatever, supposedly, allegedly, you know, all of this is alleged. I felt like they probably like paid off her student loans real quick, paid off her mama house, like just gave her some money to like go away and just make.
Remember what he said. And this is to your point. Did you bring back the keys? Right. You know what I mean? That's the whole apartment. You gotta leave the keys on the counter.
You gotta, no, they will get you out. Like that's some straight up like, if you got real money behind you, like they coming out looking like, you know, like secret agents with sunglasses on. They're removing you, you know, everything, getting your stuff out there.
Like, off to Bushwick you go.
Yeah, that's a wow. But you know, I just that's crazy. Like to be able to like, you know, probably he was probably living in like, you know, a scenic kind of place. Like maybe they were in the Village or Tribeca or something, you know, like in a glass tower. Or maybe she could have hoped for Williamsburg if she wants to be still kind of like, you know, on the scene. But to go from like that kind of Hollywood to Bushwick, a lot of people not gonna come to your house. shout out to Bushwick though.
Shout out to Bushwick, but that's not where she was trying to land. You know what I'm saying? That's
reality. Ain't nobody coming to Bath Beach or Brighton Beach. I'll tell you that. They ain't coming over here.
You sent her back to her origins, yo. You sent her back to her roots.
No, she gonna be in her mama house for a little while. Yeah.
Oh man, no,
but you see, this is what's interesting. I also think that the anonymity here is because, again, going back to the whole, this guy, we've got to fix this, and this guy appeals to Black women in a certain way we need him to. Especially when you look at, you know, on the heels of so many Black casted films as of late that have done so well. They needed her to like hide in the background. Like they needed to make this not, you know, like
she was not good for the market research.
Not at all. So it's like, yo, I mean, I just, you know, when you say that this absolutely affects his career in a way where it's like, yo, you got to go. It's an interesting thing to think about because it reminds me of that kid from New Orleans where they never would say what he did on set. They were saying he was inappropriate.
Oh yeah, to Jason Mitchell kid.
Yes, I mean and he had a phenomenal, like he was a good actor. Yo, same type of situation, but we don't even know what he did.
No,
was it giving coke on set? Like we don't.
It might have been giving coke.
We don't even know.
It might have been giving Me Too. It was definitely giving Me Too.
Yeah, because a lot of, it caused someone to quit.
Yeah.
So definitely. I mean, you know, listen, I'm not gonna be here doing coke. I'm not quitting a good job if somebody's doing coke. So I definitely think that in front of me either. So I definitely think it was, you know, a higher escalation than that. But that's the same type of situation where I think that he would have a very, very, very he'd have a significant career right now had that not happened. They got him out of here.
And there's sometimes when there's sometimes when people say, stay in your place, and it's giving real racist energy. And there's sometimes where you really need to stay in your place. like don't be touching white women, bro. Like not in that way. Stay in that place for sure.
You're not going to win on that. And especially I think he went to Yale, right?
Yeah, he has the MBA at Yale.
So this man went to Yale. So what's the kind of white woman you're gonna meet at Yale? Like, no, we gonna go to Yale on the merit on the merits of our ability in terms of like,
right. He's like he's meeting a lot of Gwyneths and Madisons.
Right. So you're meeting the kind of person that, like you said, is could be a Rothschild, somebody of that particular type of note, whereas you may have gone there on just completely on your academic merit and your ability, and that person is legacy, so
it's a different category.
It's a different type of
you don't piss off Illuminati and old money, like don't piss them off. Like
don't piss
when
off
they rally behind you.
Right.
He's an industry plant. Like, let's be real. He's an industry plant.
He's an industry plant.
He's the white people's industry plant into blackness, and he fucked up the bag because he ended up tampering with white women.
No, now that no one is going to stand behind that. You cannot justify choking people, and I think
non-consensually.
Okay, there's that, and the reason why I think that is even downplayed is because she called the police and he was arrested.
Right.
So even that, like, consensual, non-consensual, you're in the back. I think they were in the back of a cab or something like that. First of all, that's wild.
Just a crazy situation.
That's a crazy situation. Like, first of all, I'm not the kind of person that's going through nobody's text. Like, who that texting you? I don't care about that. It's not my phone, so I don't give a shit. But in the event that couples do this though, when they feel like things are rocky or whatever, it happens. So I'm not judging the action. But to go from this to like this, like where does that become the step 2? Like that just sounds like that's wild, right? Like
he went from that to Homer Simpson, dog.
Yeah, so it really was like, well, who was texting you? Now I kind of want to know. Like,
damn, yeah, no, it's like a threat. I'll say that. Like, someone who's gonna move in next.
I'm telling you,
it's wild. I mean, all like respect and support to victims, survivors. You already know we take that very seriously. Yep. But at the same time, like, your man's a rap, yo. They gonna giddy up him out of there. Like, that's not. He did something that's like, it's irreversible.
Yeah, and you know what it is too. Like, just from them coming back from where they were coming from and everything that was doing too. That might have been like a lot of liquor, just like some real crazy energy. That cab driver probably got paid off. Like, these are all things that don't happen in our real lives, where it's like, oh shit, this really just happened. Like, okay, you want me to shut up for $50,000? Okay, I won't say anything. Like that would never happen to me.
The Draymond tape got leaked. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in that world.
Why? Yeah, like why would that?
The Kobe pictures got leaked. We're in that world.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
So if you're covering it up, there's a big cover up, and there's probably several cover ups going on concurrently for this man. And he definitely jumped out the window.
Because you and I both know that, like, we're basically in New York City, we're in a police state. They got the surveillance when people be hopping fare and they'll like steal something from somebody, like grab a cell phone, and you will see that person and be like, oh, that's Ray Ray. That's, to live on my block, They're like, you'll see the face and know the person. Right. The surveillance that's outside right now is crazy. You cannot do anything bad and not expect to not. So I know, we know the surveillance is there. So whatever it was a lot. And it was more like, you know what? You're right. I think you're right, Drew. It was a take your marbles and go home, brother. Because I can't take. Listen, as a lawyer, I cannot. People are probably like, I can't take that fucking case. I'm not taking that case.
This is first of all, the lawyers is looking like, hey, this is the hand you dealt us. Like the moves they're making, I'm like,
the lawyer acting like like a public defender that's like so uninvested. Like, why would you say, like, why would you do that? It would have been easier. Yeah, it would have been easier to be quiet in that sense. That did not help. at all.
Yeah, unserious, and as to make me believe that even that lawyer is a railroad job for all the shit they're trying to cover up. Like there's
Yeah,
too much mess, and they
yeah.
gave him the lawyer that would do that.
You see, yeah, yeah. That's. So okay, so let me ask you this question on some pocket watching shit.
Mhm.
Do you think that he has? Well, because I don't think that he's obviously not at a Michael B. Jordan level. But do you think that he has amassed enough income now where now he got to go back to work? You know, maybe he can open up a bar.
Yeah. Yes, he has to go back to work. He has to open up a bar, and the reason why I say that is because like when we think about the average NBA player and like you get drafted, you have an average length career, you have average earnings for an NBA player, which is going to be good, but then your entire family needs something. So he strikes me as the type of person where he's in that position where his entire family still needs something. He probably set a lot of people up, and now that bag is stopped, and a lot of people are probably still depending on him to be that to others. So I think he does have to work. I think him finding work in that particular industry at this particular moment is going to be difficult. Yeah. And so he's going to have to hope that, well, I mean, the Marvel bag is crazy. Like whatever, for any person, that bag is crazy. So if you getting points on the back end in any way, which I think
do you think that he would have been at a point where he would get points though?
I think he would get some points on the Marvel stuff. I think even on the Creed stuff, I think he would get points. But I just also know that like nothing is an endless reservoir. Like it's not no cash stream that comes from your appearance and you needing to be out front is endless. And I'm not sure how in a short time like that he could have set up a lot of things to keep him good. And yeah, I think that's going to be very difficult for him in the next few years because they got your mans from Birth of a Nation up out of here. And he wasn't the talent level of Jonathan Majors, but he was up out of here in like a month. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like black people was kind of low key even going up for him a little bit. Like, yo, we need to see this movie. And like, this is an important story. It was going up for him. Black people, I think, went up for Jonathan Majors for a second and then saw them text and was like,
like this is just not, yeah.
Sorry, brother. That's on you, bud.
Yeah. I just, once people start calling the police, I believe it. I mean, I know there's a lot of chaotic, crazy people out there that might do stuff like that, where they're just like calling the police at every turn, but not when you are talking about what they described that happened.
Yes.
Sounds like it was serious enough. That, because there was another witness.
Because there's a lot of calling the police that happens where everybody dying. Like, so it's a serious thing to call the police. And if you call them, there's a chance everybody dying when this happens. So
exactly.
It is a serious thing, and just unfortunate, but good luck to anyone who had a fallout from that situation because it's going to be kind of nasty, and we're going to find out more. That's the whack part. We're going to find out more.
I mean, man, if we're here because as you said before, we've been seeing things that we should have never seen. If we're here where they released that surveillance and it's on some Blueface and Krishan, yo, that is gonna be crazy. That's gonna
be
crazy.
Lawyers already hinted at it, which is like that's trouble. That they didn't lead with that, but they hinted at it. I'm like, that's trouble for you, man.
That's gonna be a problem.
That's not gonna look good in any way.
Yeah. She should have never sent those texts. Or if that was even her, who knows? But
right.
I wouldn't have agreed to that. Yes, people. So this has been great. It was a lot of fun. We're back here. Warming back up, getting back into the pod. Yeah. So it's so interesting. The things that are dominating social media, and like we didn't even like really talk about everything. Like that was like not even a small it was a small slice of the pie.
Yeah, a small slice of the pie. We didn't get into the Ja Morant of it all, into the Kyrie Irving of it all, but. I'm so super proud.
The Kyrie and Luka of it all.
Oh man. I think your history vindicating Kyrie stock has just plummeted.
Yeah, man. Or the fans chanting to Luka, "You are fat."
Wild. It's a wild era, but it's an unhinged era, and that's why we're here.
Okay, guys. So, folks, my name is Koku, aka Koku Puff. Twitter, Instagram,
Breez.
Koku Puff. Yep. And we're here, guys. These are we're trying to figure out a schedule right now. There's a lot going on, but yet people honking outside. You know how it is. But but we'll be back. We'll be back, and we'll definitely get this out very, very quickly so that we make sure that we don't lose the points.
All right.
All right then.
Soon. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for checking out the Unhinged Podcast with Koku Puff and Drew Breez. If you like what you see, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.